All right, there you go. If you didn't know that, that's Bloodstorm. Chris Mezzadurus' band. Chris is the founding member and the heart and soul, the blood of everything behind Bloodstorm. So just a couple things to announce before we get started with Chris. Just want to show these before we start the show regularly. We got tomorrow here in San Antonio, last minute show popped up at the ODEF Cafe. Barbosa Dad is playing a pop up show at the ODEF with Chaotic Inn and Sacrificial Possession tomorrow. So, San Antonians, if you ain't got nothing to do tomorrow night, go catch some Barbosa Dad. I'm sure you'll get your head kicked in or something because those are always fun shows. So, catch that tomorrow. I think they're heading out to Mexico, so they threw a show real quick before they go out and destroy out in Mexico. The Pious Levis split 7-inch, among other things, with Cruentation should be fairly soon here. So I would say just be on the lookout. I am. I know there might be a slight delay. You know how vinyl are. So just keep looking, and of course watch the channel. I will be here. I will keep you posted. And coming up on Saturday, August 22nd. Welcome to Hell Black Metal Takeover Part 3 with the Iron One, Megan. We'll be with fucking Mike Abominator doing their thing over there. So that will always be awesome. So check that out. That's coming up Saturday, August 29th. Over there on Welcome to Hell. Welcome to Hell. Coming I know it's like a damn commercial over here. Just two more things, I promise you. We're gonna start the show here. The Indignation Words of Deceit demo from 1991. Me, Swarngul, Louis from Devastation's old band from what I just say 1991 is going to be released on CD. I was going to say cassette, but it's already been reissued on cassette on Goat Throne on CD from Headsplit Records. So be on the lookout for that. That should be coming out fairly soon, in a couple of weeks, I think, on that one. And Texas Underground Legends in my book. Saranax will be coming out too with their demo, The Battalion of Death from 1985. Killer death thrash early stuff there. Also being reissued on Headsplit. So that's all the commercials. Now we can get into what you came here for. Let's bring on Chris Mezzadurus. Gamble, here he is. What's up, Chris?
Good to see you, Sirian House, Carl. Everybody, it's great to see you all again. I'm finally back here in my home streets of Philadelphia. My shoes finally hit Philly soil last Friday night, man. And all I can say is I went right to the pizza, right to Old English Pizza, 2 blocks away. Got my pizza fries, my cheesesteak, fried onions. Oh man, it was wild because it was almost like I never left. The taste didn't leave my palate, you know.
I can just see in Chris' demeanor how much happier he is to be home.
Thank you, Carl, and thanks everyone. I appreciate it. It was a very most difficult and turbulent year being in Pensacola for that whole year, but I was trying to do better for myself, for my daughter's family. I was just trying to think of the big picture, and I had to start things anew. I had to, reset myself, remove myself from here, see what really I can do and what can be the reality of, I guess living and quality of life. And, the infrastructure didn't match the needs of me, man. I'm a city dog. I just really am such a city dog. Yeah. Being in the woods where people don't believe in sidewalks, streetlights, and public buses was a big wake-up call for me. I might as well have been on the moon, man.
Another dimension for Chris, probably.
It was strange. It was strange not hearing sirens at night. It was strange not hearing people chatter down the street. It was strange not hearing cars with the radios going, horns going, cops, fire engines, ambulances, the whole rigmarole. People rattling trash cans, checking your car doors, dogs barking, cats fighting, and the music blaring. There we go. I'm back in Philadelphia. Love it.
Oh, that's good to hear, man. I'm happy for you, Chris. As I already told you,
thank you so much.
It's good to see Chris happy. All right, Chris, yeah. I am going to let you take over the reins. I'm going to go backstage, and
thank you.
You can start your the programming shall begin.
Well, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to thank all of you that really stayed in touch with me and was a friendly ear to me the past year being down in Pensacola, Florida. It meant a lot to me, your friendship, and the times that I did get to broadcast and do these shows and celebrate music with you. I just want to tell all of you that really, and this is the truth, you all helped me get through my weeks and months and days being on the show down there, and it really helped me get by. The connection of music, as I always said, is the best friendship somebody like me could ever know. It taught me so much about myself, my friendships, removing myself from my comfort zone, trying to get a better perspective and adapt to other things in life, to see what other things may have to offer for my children. But I had to take that R. Lee Emery approach in Full Metal Jacket. You gotta just dig in there. You gotta jump in. The shit river head first and just get on your war face. That whole get that war face going. But thank you all. It meant a lot, and I'm here tonight, finally back in Philadelphia to enjoy you. A couple new people in here. Thank you so much for being a part of the show tonight. A special shout out to my friend Faye. Faye does a channel called Africa Reacts. If anybody's interested, she does a really good program on her YouTube channel. She does a lot of first-time reactions. She is hungry for music. So please, heavy metal is a big, broad area. And I've always told Faye that there's so many different vast different interpretations of heavy music, and all the different things that it's brought out, especially in the 1980s, being very new and undiscovered and unknown sounds and energy levels and expressions and extremities were really put to the test in the 1980s, which I personally always felt has been the best representation of extreme heavy music that's still celebrated today. Obviously, I'm one of those people that loves to celebrate it with you because it shaped my life into the person that I am. So I appreciate all that. So if you can, try to give a shout out to Faye. Check her channel out. Make suggestions to her. She knows a lot about the Beatles and things like that. But, so if you can, just check it out. And thanks again for everybody being here. I got a lot of excitement and a new revived energy back since being back in the streets of Philadelphia here. Just riding through the old neighborhood, getting my furniture. It was it's such a great feeling. It is. It's there's something about, but when you get older in life, because I'm 55, when you really remove yourself from your years of just knowing your comfort zone, and you take yourself out of it and you just experience trying to do things different and new in another life in another area and do everything over again. I'm going by my own experience. It really puts a big perspective on really where I need to be and what my heart really tells me to do. And now I just know this is really where I belong. But music has always been the one friend that travels in my heart and soul all the time. And I know that's the same for most of you people as well. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here tonight, and we're going to celebrate music too. It's always been the undisputed friendship that I've always had in my life as a kid growing up with Kiss and AC/DC and Rush and The Who and Led Zeppelin and all that, jumping into Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, Motorhead, and Venom, and then etc. I like to see that there's younger people that still carry that torch. Once in a while, driving a school bus. Every once in a while, I get a new kid, a teenager, interested in anything from the Boston and the Cars up to Repulsion and things like that. So it's a great connector and a vessel to explore your world outside of your normal comfort zone. So let's explore our inner comfort zone tonight with heavy metal, rock and roll, raw power, high energy, and a live in a Sirian death ray tonight. I want to start this track off with a beloved Texas-based band, one that gained popularity that I can remember just came right out of some portal undead, Portal Nightmare. It just came out of the blue in 1988 on Capitol Records. Yeah, too. I mean, we're talking 1988. Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer, the whole American, commercial demographic of the big four. Overkill, DRI, Nuclear Assault. All those bands were already established and big. Testament. That was like they were the big things that represented America on the forefront of that showcase. But this band here popped out. I just remember they were like out of nowhere. Bright red cover with the skull, long blue hair, and the axes crossed. I was like, who is this fucking band? This looks great. Gotta have it. And I just want to celebrate it, man. From 1988, Texas-based band. Love the Texas, my second home. Okay? This is Rigor Mortis. Demons! I think that was one of the best albums that came out in 1988. That debut Rigor Mortis album, start to finish, really great, brilliant, strong album. You know, I was, surprised they didn't have a good follow-up second album come out. At least a year after that. I forget when Freaks came out, but I don't know if it was 89 or 90. I'm not sure. Maybe it did come out later. I'm not sure, but that album was so strong, such a powerful album for 1988. It was a good closer to the decade of the 80s. That's a great album. It's flawless. It really is a flawless album. But it was a surprise at the time for me to see that on Capitol Records. I almost had to take a step back and go, is this really on Capitol Records? Because if you can remember, Capitol, it wasn't too kind to heavy metal. Not in the part, especially when it came to thrash metal. Anything outside of like a Rat or a Motley Crue or Twisted Sister, things like that. That whole glam thing, which I despised it. I wasn't in, I didn't want nothing to do with it. So that was such a great shocker of an album for 1988, but a great album for that year. Definitely was a strong. It kept American thrash metal strong, I think, for the underground. It was a good bridging album to be mainstream, to still have all the underground attributes that we love. And I think that album stand the test of time. I wanted to celebrate that album. Sometimes I don't think it gets too much love, but great album start to finish, as always. And Texas always has a special place in my heart. Being so, working with Absu in the mid '90s, and then just doing like all the early festivals and stuff with Bloodstorm. It did become my second musical home. So I had to pay homage to Texas tonight. So thank you all. And I just want to say it's good to see Blackstorm Ash here, Rich, Frazier, of course, Jared, Disguster, Rotten Punks, all you guys, Benji, all you guys. Thanks so much for always being here. And I consider you guys really a great part of my musical world, because you've shown so much great support and enjoyment in music with what I do here. So thank you all so much. You really helped me get through that year being in Pensacola, away from so much from what I know. And now I'm back home and I don't feel lost no more. I don't feel misplaced. I felt very out of place down there. So I'm driving school buses again in 2 more weeks here. I'm going to be going through all the neighborhoods. I saw all my friends, all my lady friends over at work. I had to hug and kiss them all. All I said to them was, I miss all your food. I miss when you bought in your chicken and rice food for me. It was nice. So, I want to continue on. So a shout out to Rigor Mortis being my second musical home of Texas. Europe has always been, as I say all the time, the best representation for extreme music. It just really is. The 1980s was never short of great bands that have had success with having multiple albums, and then bands that maybe had 1 or 2 releases, but still shine on today with greatness through the loudspeakers, whether it's through your headphones, through your computer, your stereo, your homage stereo with your record player, or just on your iPod in your car, whatever it may be. Europe always was such a great headquarters for extreme music. 1980s, I mean, come on. And this little country here, Denmark, provided not just 2 great bands, but I thought this band here, we all know Merciful Fate. And most of us, I think, are familiar with Sam Hain, Dazzling Salt. At least, being here with me, how much I love that band, because they really helped me musically influence with Bloodstorm and, even parts of Agoraphobia, but mostly Bloodstorm. But this band here, I thought, for one EP, I said, wow, it's I always, it's a shame when these bands don't get to do more, because there's so much potential. This 5-song EP, I was like, well, this is another one of those little gems buried underneath the sea of music, And I want to celebrate this band tonight and give Denmark some more love besides Merciful Fate and Sandman Does Exalt and a couple other bands, of course. But this one in particular, I want to give a little love tonight. And this band is Evil from their 1984 EP. This song, Carl, it's track 2. It is the song Evil.
Noise, I hear a lot of noise.
What a brilliant EP that is for 5 songs. I mean, it has that Merciful Fate touch to it. You can hear that. Must be something in the country of Denmark, right? In 1984. But I mean, that's a great EP. It's a cool band. Yeah, you know, sometimes, like I said, I'm amazed that some of these bands, you know, they would only do an EP or one album and they're out. But when you can hear them again today, it's just it holds all that magic, all the attributes that we always loved about 80s heavy metal. I mean, you know, it has the Iron Maiden sort of, you know, technicality, the bit here, a bit there, but it has the, you know, that raw heaviness like a Merciful Fate and a Tank have and things like that. And it has all those touches. What makes a really, really good heavy metal record, a really good heavy metal album. And there's always something that's kind of cool about 1980s picture art, you know, because you don't have the AI, but the photograph pictures. If you can, I love classic artwork. I'm all about art. I do. I love it. But if you can get kind of like a cool photograph of the art, you know, a photograph going, sometimes it's cool. That one always tricked me. I didn't think much of it when I first, you know, saw it. I was like, you know, it almost looked like a still from a movie clip in a way. That's what it first reminded me. But sometimes those kind of albums, those kind of covers, they're 3 times more richer than you would think offhand. So that was always a surprise EP for me. So that was Evil out of Denmark, 1984. I hope you ladies and gentlemen and tyrants can enjoy that one. I want to give them some love and appreciation tonight. And we're going to move here. This band, we're going to bring it back to New Jersey. A New Jersey-based band that, well, as far as I know they're still going because I've seen them advertised at shows here and there. A lot of fests I think they play. They're still, you know, popular and around. I don't know how many original members are left in this band, but only one album that was ever really popular to me was their album Battles at Helm's Deep. And that's the album that I thought was great from 1985 out of New Jersey, Attacker. This song here I chose, all I could say is this entire album, since I'm a Dungeons and Dragons freak, and the artwork said it all. So I'm just going to let this great medieval son of a bitch and power thrash song go. This is 1985 off the Battle at Helm's Deep album from Attacker. Slayer's Blade.
Now turn around, it's all real.
one of my biggest loves was always the Dungeons and Dragons type He-Man, old school sword and sorcery, wizardry artwork on heavy metal albums. I mean, besides your classic Iron Maiden albums, I mean, I was always such a fan of album covers like that. If I saw an album cover like that, it was like sold, gotta have it. Even if I just take it home to redraw the cover in art class, anything. But then when the music's even better, well, you know, of course you hit a grin. You know, you got the key to the grand treasure chest right there. That's a great gem of an album. It's my favorite one. I think they did another album in, I think, 1988. I'm trying to remember what the name of that one was. But Battle of Helm's Deep, that album alone, I think that's a great album start to finish. So I wanted to show a little love for Attacker because I never got to represent them. And it's a great speed, you know, power thrash band, East Coast, New Jersey. So want to represent, man, Slayer's Blade. Hope you enjoy that one, ladies and gentlemen. So my next, staying here in America, here we go. You know my respects and appreciation for women in heavy metal rock and roll. And I finally get to represent this band that I didn't get to in all the other times I've broadcasted. I always said, I got to get this. I got to represent these guys. I got to represent this band. I got to represent them because, I think this album is great and I never got to do it yet. And finally I said, it's time. It's time to show some love and dedication to this band from the 1980s. They are a New York-based band. And they only put, I believe, 2 albums out in the 1980s. I don't know what they might have put out after that, but there's only 2 of them I know. But they were on Mausoleum Records. And Mausoleum Records were one of those labels that back in those times, when you went to wall-to-wall sound and video to pick up albums in the import section, besides Bonsai, Cobra, and Music for Nations, Mausoleum once in a while would be afloat in there. Plus Noise International was always in wall-to-wall sound and video, the import section, which is where I ran to all the time. If I didn't check from, Megaforce, Metal Blade, or Important Records, or something like that, then I always ran to the import section. It was always a given. You're going to find something great coming from a European label. Well, this band, I never got to show some love for them, but I got to say, the lead vocalist, Marianne, she reminds me, she has a Pat Benatar look, I think. She kind of has this Pat Benatar look, even with, on the cover, the hairstyle, but her vocals are to me, she's somewhere between Betsy Weiss and Ann Boylan, but she has a demeanor about her. It has a little bit of a Pat Benatar in her too that I thought was really a cool attribute to have in this band. But I thought the music, again, like I would say, Acid's music is brilliant, but Kate's vocals over top of it makes it better. I tend to think Marianne's vocals over top of this band make this band better. And it's I only know of the 2 albums, but this album here is the only one that I really gravitated to and I think is great. Who am I talking about? If maybe some of you don't know already, I'm talking about Black Lace. And I'm talking about their 1984 album, Unlaced. And this song is a video promo for I Like to Rock. So let it go, Carlos, rock! I hope you enjoyed that, ladies and gentlemen. I want to show some love for Black Lace. I never had the opportunity to put them on yet, so I said tonight, no way, man, I'm not missing this. I got to just show that band, at least that album, some love. I think it's a great album, start to finish. I love the video, a lot of great energy there. And my dear friend Faye's right. She has some of the same energy as Wendy Williams jumping around, but just no explosives, no shotguns, no chainsaws, no mohawks with dynamite, you know. But, you know, the energy level, you know, it's still there. We're still in the same field. Just a different way of presenting things, you know. But, you know, I thought that band was a very good one. And I think Marianne had a lot of potential. Her vocals were very good for heavy metal, I think, you know. So I wanted to show them some love and support tonight on the show. So I hope you enjoyed Black Lace, that Unlaced album. It's a good one, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard it. So, you know, let's move this along here, right along with the ladies. Excuse me, once again. And Faye, if you're here, I don't think you did any reactions to this next act. But anyway, everybody here knows and adores this woman. I gotta say, she's one of the cornerstones of women in heavy metal around the earth. This girl has done it all. She really, really has done it all. Let me on stage with her, rocked out with the best of them, still going strong today. Her heart is absolutely made of steel, iron, and stone. And the truth be told, though, I think the best of her career is in her early stages. You know, being in Warlock, Doro is definitely one of the best front runners for women representing heavy metal throughout the decades. Doro is a strong heavy metal torch for ladies still going on. The first two albums, you know, Burn the Witches and Hellbound, they're my favorite. And I think it had to do a lot with Rudy Graf's guitars. If I remember right, he left, I think, after that second album, Hellbound. But I think some of it is he did a lot of the songwriting, and it started to change. I think he had leftover songs that they used later, but the first two are like great monumental heavy metal records for me. Doro is definitely a pumping heart of strength for women in heavy metal rock and roll. And one of my favorite songs. It's off of Hellbound. And I want to put this one out tonight to all you ladies, you heavy metal rock and roll tyrants around the world, including you, Faye. I chose this. This is a live in London 1985 video for the song Hellbound.
Track from our new album, Hellbound!
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Doro, it really is from very early start of heavy metal for women. She is really a steel, iron, blood pumping heart for women in heavy metal. Still to this day going strong, just like Girls School are still going strong. I met Doro one time, and I'm sure a lot of you have met her too. Very kind, sweet person. Very, very modest, very humble. Not an asshole attitude. I never sense nothing. Wonderful person, and she just loves her music, and that right there should help the earth spin so much more. Just like those records did. I love those two records. They're my best, and I know management. She really got screwed over. I saw the documentary. I saw how things went down for her, and it's sad that so many artists, not just Dora, but a lot of heavy metal artists, especially in the 1980s, really did get screwed. And I think, from my perspective, I was only a teenager, but from my perspective, it just seemed like I think most of the bands probably didn't expect to go too far, because it was a really new and undiscovered energy and sound being put into so many different vessels and just traveling down that highway, boom, boom, boom. Who are we going to see? Who are we going to hit? And there's a lot to absorb and gather. So I have a lot of respect for Doro, and not just for the heavy metal scene, but for rock in general for women. She exemplifies a lot of that, I think, as well. Okay, I see a bit of representation in Doro in that as well. So just some love and appreciation to Doro, to Warlock. That 1985 footage, I love it. It's one of my things I play a lot on my downtime when I'm going through my books and things. So she gets spun once in a while on my school bus too. Know that. The young ladies got to know there's good powerhouse women in music. Just like people from Marianne, from Black Lace to Doro, and there's a lot that goes in between and all around. And I always try to encourage any young people. When I see them coming on the school bus with their instruments, to really try to pursue it. If they love it, don't give it up. Don't let them be embarrassed or feel failure or falter. I always tell them there's just do something different with your instrument. Just start making things up. I always try to tell them Eddie Van Halen, he really did improvise. I think, at least probably 85% of his sound is said because he didn't have the money for the equipment, so he did everything with his hands. I mean, there you go. Diamond Glass, another great prodigy. A little different, but it's all in the same field. So I encourage it. So anyway, let's move on here. And as always, just as much as I love and appreciate women in rock and roll and heavy metal, I always appreciate the hardcore punk rock scene that had so much to do with so many heavy metal bands and thrash metal acts that are still just as a crucible of what goes on today, because it is a cornerstone sound of what's done in punk rock and hardcore, especially in its early stages of development, where it was so anti-industrial. It was against everything that had law and order. And the ultimate rebellion to music was punk rock. At least that's how I've always learned it. And it's always that way to me. And then you got, people like Elvis Presley and Little Richard and Jerry Lee Lewis and all coming along and just turning the record industry upside down. I think nothing did it better than punk rock music and hardcore music too. I'm not a political guy. I'm not. There's a time and a place for that. Just this isn't. But in some of those bands in the 80s, there was a great humor, a dark humor that went with it. And it really resonated with all of us on a street level. At least in the streets of Philadelphia, not my brother and all of his friends, me and my friends, we related a lot to Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, DRI. Born and bred out of Houston, Texas, and they eventually moved to San Diego, California. I don't know what time in their career they might have moved. Maybe it was when they did the Crossover album. Maybe they relocated to San Francisco. I'm not 100% sure. But another love and dedication to Texas and out of Houston, DRI. Father Pacification, great album, but dealing with it just a little bit more of a pinch of its influence on us street level kids in the 1980s in the streets of Philadelphia, running up and down, have uncontrolled chaos after watching our kung fu movies in the afternoon, after the Saturday morning cartoons and all that other stuff. Watching Martika on Kids Incorporated because you have a crush on her, but you couldn't let everybody know. Hardcore was our street level music that was just the equivalent of heavy metal. It was the same. We never saw nothing different about it. We didn't. I can't speak for everybody, but it's very important. All these bands are so important to what heavy metal has become and what it's carried on through still to this day. So let's show some love and dedication to Houston, Texas's own Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, off of Dealing With It. One of the longer songs, but I think it's a very cool song, and I just really love it because I'm 55. But this one, Nursing Home Blues. When you're like, you're a teenager and you hear that song, you don't think so much about nursing home stuff unless you see the old people on the streets, but, it's a great song. And DRI was a great band that resonated so much with me and my friends, my brother and his friends. And, in 1980 streets of Kensington in Philadelphia, everybody had the Mosh Guy sticker on their radio, on their locker, or just drawn on their jacket, drawn on their pants, drawn on their school bags, drawn on their books. Everybody drew the Mosh Man symbol. Everybody did it. People used to spray paint over the street signs. They would pay. You knew you were in a fellow neighborhood when you saw the DRI mosh pit guy spray painting on the back of a stop sign or a yield sign, because Kensington was littered with graffiti. It's part of the social environment. If you were a street poet, I guess we just called it graffiti. That's all it was. Tags. But everybody tagged that. Everybody would put the corrosion conformity biohazard skull with the spikes up, and they put DRI's Mosh Man, the Mosh Pit Man. That they were always around, and the anarchy symbol all the time. It just was. People would just put the black flag, the GBH. They would just write GBH, all of it. And again, the power and energy level that hardcore and punk rock gives. It's okay. It's not in the lane of heavy metal and thrash, but it runs in the same direction on its own highway. We're going for the same thing. We're going for the same energy. We're going for the same rebellious aggression, a pure, raw, primal, unfiltered, unchained nature of just relentless expression through power and raw emotion. So hardcore and punk rock gave us that. And another band that gave us that too, that spoke volumes to us, was from Scotland, and that was Exploited. Everybody loved the Mohawk skull. That was another motif everybody loved and had on their radios and lockers and book bags and their notebooks. He would draw the Exploited skull. But we loved Waddy's vocals. Such powerful anger in his voice. It was like screaming at your neighbor for putting your car tires on his fucking pavement and cracking the sidewalk, or your dog shitting on their lawn and not cleaning it up. You could hear Whitey's voice, You fucking wanker, motherfucker. There's a lot of character in that. And it's all part of it, is it not? So I want to celebrate again tonight. I think is the last hurrah album of Exploited. In 1990, their Massacre album. I think it was probably the really last strong run, because they didn't put out an album, I don't think, until 1996 was Beat the Bastards. And I never followed it after the Massacre. But I want to celebrate the Exploited again with a live TV performance in 1990 of them doing that song. This is the Exploited, the Massacre!
Let's go! Why?
I always believed that punk rock and hardcore music was the one thing that really definitely was needed when it came out in the 1970s, the mid 1970s, when a lot of bands from the 60s died off, Vietnam War, everything was changing, political unrest, civil unrest. It was the best answer I think music needed. It needed to be turned up on its head. And, punk rock music did it. Hardcore music was I guess, the successor to what punk really started out to be, right? At least that's how I see it. I don't know how you people see it, but punk and hardcore at its early stages are two things that should never be neglected, rejected, or passed by when it comes to doing extreme music. Those expressions early on in its rebellious state, the simplicity of it is so powerful. It's constant cannon fire. It is. And that right there, its energy of itself is such a great crucible of power in music. One of the greatest starts of that whole era of punk rock music started in 1975, at least, unless somebody else knows something different than me. By all means, let me know, because I'm going by what I know. I'm not the everything guy, everybody. I don't know everything. I just know enough for myself and how I see things. So as I say all the time on these shows, I explain things in the way that I see them. And I try to represent them best way I think that represents them through song in my interpretation. So, but no denying, 1975, 1976, 1977, more so 1977 was the real, when punk rock turned rock and roll up on its head, upside down, and created the music industry to be sick of its noise and dizzy spells, with the gross rebellious nature and its violent, unforgiving verbal assault and aggression in its sound and energy, and its ugliness that created this beautiful, just resonating, brilliant sound and power. And two bands I think did it the best. One is the Ramones, and the other one is this one I want to represent tonight, and I hope this goes through. One of my favorite songs off the Sex Pistols album, never mind, the Bullocks. Here's the Sex Pistols from 1977. One of my favorite songs by the Sex Pistols ever, and I blast this on my school bus. This is Pretty Vacant.
And now
I don't think Steve Jones and Paul Cook get enough attention that Sid Vicious and Johnny Rotten did. Yeah, because without those two guys, you wouldn't get that kind of a brilliant sound, would you? At least I don't think so. But, the Sex Pistols, they helped kick doors down. They really did. They turned everything upside down. Them guys are the Ramones, at least how I remember it. And then, Lemmy loved that stuff. I love Motorhead. I could see that. Joan Jett, everybody. I heard Kronos say it so much. The Sex Pistols and Elvis were like two things that made him do what he wanted to do. So there's really something to be admired about that. I mean, nobody heard nothing like that. So I always enjoy that, that history about how punk really kind of started and turned everything up on its head and started a whole new idea and a whole new movement. It's just things that had to happen. And it shows the power of our artistic nature within us to take sound or art or words and create a whole new world or a set of ideas or influences or your own self-philosophy presented to other people, and you put it out there. I think it's great. The great thing about punk rock is it's like it doesn't care to be critiqued or criticized. They want to be, because it doesn't matter. And that's great, because you take the power away from the people that want to bring you down. Because if you simply don't care, and there's nothing they could do to change that or change your mind, that's headstrong. That's simplicity at its brilliance. Punk rock is brilliant, simple music. I mean, it's not that it's intricate or brilliant, but it's the attitude and the energy level. It was something that was never at that time, and it needed to happen because it brought us a lot of bands that we love to this day. So some love and appreciation to the Sex Pistols. Okay, everybody's got their favorite songs. And Carl, yeah, Bodies is a great one too. That's a great song to do as well. Excuse me 1 minute. Yeah, what's up, Andy? I'm just broadcasting, that's all. Sorry, my neighbor was talking to me. Okay.
Sorry, I took your time.
That's okay. Let's continue on here. So now, as always, one of the great cornerstones that came after, a lot of punk rock that birthed a lot of heavy metal bands. One of the biggest influences to this day has always been what has been done, in Europe in the early 80s. One of the biggest ones, besides Venom, was always Celtic Frost, with being an innovator with sound and being an innovator with the style of songwriting, lyrics, expression, visual, the whole conceptual side of things. I think the Mezzadurus is one of the best and brilliant albums that was ever put out in the 1980s. It's a flawless record. It creates a medieval a novel of medieval history, sorcery, undiscovered sort of spiritual encounters, however you want to term it, I guess. But it really created a whole landscape and birthed within itself its own sound and energy and influence. The Mezzadurus, I think, is one of the most ultimate heavy metal albums that has nothing but raw power and great high energy in its performance, its execution, and its songwriting. One of my favorite songs off the album, I want to give some love and dedication tonight. So this is off of To Mezzadurus. This song here, Eternal Summer.
Dark sun,
that album to start to finish, I think I think a lot of people, a lot of people I know that started bands by the time I was doing, started Chorophobia, always took a reference from To Megatheron in some way or another. Maybe not everybody, but a lot of people. I sure as hell did. That album was a game changer for me in its sound and its songwriting. I already love Morbid Tales, Ember's Return, but it really refined everything so much more. Listening to that album, for example, it makes me think of things like this. To Megatheron. I mean, I see this a lot. I see these kind of things every time I hear it. The Emperor, the Usurper. Look at, the artwork, all this alone. It was just rich. The sound put these kind of images in my head. And this is what I was doing at the time. Me and my friends. We did all these things. I have so many of these. I'm just showing them off now. But bands like, Attacker and everything else, Evil, all of these bands, they bought out all of this. Look, it's got Toys R Us. Remember Toys R Us, ladies and gentlemen? Yeah. That's where I got everything. But, bands like Celtic Frost, when you're a teenager, and you're doing this just makes your world seem so much more real. This was one of my favorite to play. Was the Curse of Xanthon. Really long campaign, but a good one. But yeah, this Celtic Frost was the reason that helped bring a lot of this alive and encourage me so much more to create. And lyricists do that when they care so much more than just their music and their sound, but they're telling you a story. And I'm a big one about that kind of thing, which is why I'm heavily into Voivod. Bands that do those things, they do. They create all these different views and visions and ways of doing and expressing things. It just opens up so much more. Your world gets bigger and bigger. You're seeing this. You're seeing the musical stars out in that telescope when you can reflect on albums like To Megatheron. So I just love that album. I think it's one of the best death metal albums ever made is To Megatheron. That's my opinion. I love that song, Eternal Summer. So I'm just geeking out a little bit, showing you my Dungeons and Dragons influence with Celtic Frost for such, because I was always the DM making that stuff. It's just a sign of the times, people. Another great album that I thought was flawless and very critical in the 1980s sound and influence is this next song, band, album I'm going to play, because when it came out, it definitely did create, without a doubt, a whole other level of a sound and energy to go for. And it highlighted so much of horror movies, classic horror movies, zombie movies, mummy movies, the Hammer horror, the whole classic image of that, the satanic movies, Satan's School for Girls, all that kind of stuff, Devil's Reign, Tombs of the Blind Dead, all that stuff. Burial Ground out of Italy, Lucio Fulci Zombie, The Gates of Hell. These underground movies that were on VHS tapes, or as Carl said at one time, he actually got to see them on HBO, and my sister had HBO and Prism. She had, remember the keypad box? Let me just lift this up. Hopefully don't do nothing. But remember when the cable channels had the punch box, you had to press the button like you were punching on a keypad or a typewriter to change the channel, and you would see those kind of movies. Well, I think this band here, Death, Scream, Bloody Gore, stepped everything up at a whole other level. Another flawless, monumental, critical album for death metal since Possessed Seven Churches, in my opinion. Celtic Frost, definitely. And this was another avenue of death metal. At least that's the way I've seen it. So I want to celebrate a song off of Death, Scream, Bloody Gore from 1987, starting a whole new era of influential death metal sound and energy and songwriting, just like Celtic Frost did. This is Death off of Scream Bloody Gore. I chose tonight to play Denial of Life. (1987), Death Scream Bloody Gore. Definitely can remember. Every fanzine I had just lost their minds hearing that record. And I did too. Me and my friends in school, we all did. First of all, just seeing the cover alone, all we thought of was Zombie, The Gates of Hell, House by the Cemetery, Burial Ground, all that, Tomb of the Blind Dead. And you read the song titles, Regurgitated Guts, Torn to Pieces, Evil Dead. We all knew what that was, It changed. It was a game. I think that album most definitely was a game changer, just like Possessed Seven Churches, Celtic Frost, Megatherion, Venom Black Metal. There's so many game-changing albums from the 1980s, and that one right there is undeniably one of the cornerstones of the probably the most profound progression of death metal in the 1980s when that album came out. That was an album to kind of measure up to from what I can remember. And I personally believe in my heart of hearts, Chris Reeford's style of drumming and being there with Chuck made that album sound what it is. Just let us, when you think about Autopsy, there's a certain resemblance. I'm not saying it's the same, but there's definitely a resemblance there to it. And I think Mr. Chris Reeford had a lot to do with that album. At least that's how I hear it. Okay, I'm going by how I hear it. So because to me, after Scream Bloody Gore, I mean, I love Leprosy, I do, but I gotta tell you, it's only once in a great while I put that album on. And after that, I tried Spiritual Healing. I was into the album maybe a half a year. It went from playing the whole thing to playing just one side, then not playing it at all. I haven't played that album, Spiritual Healing, probably since 1992. I mean, that's the last time I remember playing it. Somewhere's around there. It just didn't have the same thing. There's something is to be said about when members aren't there anymore, it changes. Vocals were always a big one. When your vocalist left, of a vocalist that you loved in a band, when they left, it was hard. But then you had a few exceptions. Like, of course, when Paul Di'Anno was out of Iron Maiden, you hear Bruce Dickinson, it wasn't a step down. It was, I wouldn't say a step up. It was an evolution, but going in this, but at the same way. I think they were equal playing fields. Just there's two different sounds of Iron Maiden. The Paul Di'Anno side had a touch of that, a smidge. And I know Steve Harris ain't into punk rock and all that shit, but Paul Di'Anno brought a bit of that raspiness to it. Whereas Bruce Dickinson brought the more quintessential classic, hardened, strong style of powerful range, heavy metal vocals that were operatic in a sense. So it made sense. But sometimes when a vocalist leaves a band in the thrash metal band or a death metal band or whatever, in a more harder end, at times it can make a difference. A drummer, guitar player, if it's a songwriter, it makes a difference. So I always believe that when Chris Reeford was out of death, I think it changed them. I do. So that's just how I hear it. Well, Scream Bloody Gore, another monumental album to put death metal at a new high. And the year before that, 1986, another wonderful band. This was their second album. And personally, for me, in 1986, being 15, I think this is probably the fastest album that I could think of for 1986, out of America to come out. Maybe perhaps out of the whole scene in general worldwide. I don't think this album was topped by too many bands that were fast and powerful and super aggressive, but I'm talking fast energy, except for their 8-minute opus. This has always been cited as one of the greatest top death metal, thrash metal albums of all time. I've seen this album represented in magazines throughout the years, and it's definitely one of my favorite albums too. I could play it start to finish. This album creates its own planetary atmosphere of darkness. And tonight, I want to represent what I think was one of the fastest albums to come out in 1986 out of Los Angeles. The powerful vocals of Don Doty, the second album of Dark Angel, Darkness Descends.
Breaking and bending, the ones who assuage the human remnants of us. Lyric winds till the soul, eradication of the will. Nihilism, a century storm, frightening the weakling severe. Sacrosanct, religious one, a past becoming extinct. Killing precursors of a who before, permeate the night air. Fear the end, brings on the mind of all the soon to be dead. With death on the hand, the hideous beat, a prison fate to comprehend. Sin is guilty, crime is life, sin is death, darkness says. Sin is guilty, crime is life, sin is death, darkness says. Sin is guilty, crime is life, sin is death, darkness says. Sin is guilty, crime is life, sin is death, darkness says. Without a rage, bodies breathe your hell. Flame within, a leap to escape, hoping the great to fall. Mission of guilt, a wall to the sun, where judges who act is lost. The navigation of the populace, striking with great dignity. Listen to waves, whose will die, while this claim will soon. Self-revelation is unjustified, stitching your shores they lose. Coffins are ready, just one inside, rushing to swiftly set in. Inimitable powers begin to be guide, carnal house to say win. Sin is guilty, crime is life, sin is death, darkness is sad. Sin is guilty, crime is life, sin is death, darkness is sad. Sin is guilty, crime is life, sin is death, darkness is sad. Sin is guilty, crime is life, sin is death, darkness is sad.
Don Doty's voice was everything for me with Dark Angel. Once he was not in the band anymore, it changed for me. Now, I appreciated Ron by the time they did Leave Scars, but it was so far, later, for me, at least as being a teenager, with so many albums with bands coming and just showing up so fast, to me, for me, when a band took more than 2 years to put an album out, when there's so much new stuff coming out, every other month, you're getting albums and demos, it was like you would lose interest if these bands weren't keeping up. For me, that's how it was. That's how we viewed things. We just wanted more and more and more. But wait, there is more. Now, though I said Dark Angel might have one of the fastest thrash metal albums in 1986, is it really necessarily so? Can we think of any others? JD, you brought up a good point. Razor. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to get people to think a little bit, Fast albums in 1986, right? Well, here's another one I think was a great, awesome speed death thrash album coming out in 1986. Across the seas, over into Europe, and the brilliant, wonderful, brutal country of black death thrashing madness of Germany. A wonderful album, a debut album came out that year with one of the funnest, cool, dark comedy like a Munsters album cover. But some of the most wicked, aggressive thrash metal songs to come out. And everything about it screams awesomeness, start to finish. Let's do this. Let's have a night of horror here. 1986, another contender for a great, brilliant, fast, speed death thrash album to come out is Tankard's debut album, Zombie Attack. This song I picked to play tonight, one of my favorite ones because I love the hook in it. Every song's great on it, but I want to give this one some love because I love its street-level aggression. What am I talking about? I'm calling on the Mercenary.
Got money
a true story about that Tankard Zombie Attack album. A couple years ago, when I was driving a school bus here in Philly, I was driving for the school called Penn, and there was this girl. Her name was Savannah. I won't give her last name, just Savannah was her name. And she was in 5th grade. Yes, she was 5th grade at the time. And I actually had this album playing on the bus. And when I got up to school, she said to me, Mr. Chris, what is that band? What were you playing? And I told her name. She goes, I really, really like that. And this girl, Savannah, was a quiet girl. Tall. She was like this tall girl, very quiet, very private, But when she just turned out and said, I really like that album, I was like, whoa. It's kind of fun when you get a little surprise like that. But it shows the power of our music. And how it can resonate still with young people that really don't know, like the world that we got. There's still this undiscovered thirst that kids get in them that they're not conditioned yet, and music's a great portal to give them something to express emotional content or their high energy or a sorrowful emotion, whatever the case may be. I always thought that was a kind of cool thing, but our music definitely creates a powerful seed that it constantly just grows, and it continues to always bear its fruits. And the youth of today still pick from those trees. I can tell you that as a school bus driver, man. So it's a cool thing, knowing that what it was like for me at 15 and what these kids, when they get to hear some of these kind of things for the first time, it's really nice to see the adventures alive in the human spirit in a way where it's not conditioned yet. You don't have, your political upheavals yet, or your taxes and job and things. You have this undiscovered freedom and what's going on in my head and the powerful way to express it. Punk rock, hardcore, heavy metal, thrash metal, it's always been the greatest way to express things. And I'm glad to have had the opportunity to experience these things at the time. And it's a wonderful gift to be able to give it back to young people again today. So that's cool. That was always a cool thing I always thought was neat about that Tankard album, how it, just that one incident, the power of our music. It's great. I always love that. Staying in Germany, one of my favorite bands of all time in the early career. What can I say? These guys to me were when I first heard them on Speed Kills. This is when I first heard them. I was definitely, pulled in by the guitar sound and the voice, the vocals, just the sound of it. It really did pull me to the, it pulled me into their sound. I always thought it was great at that time period. I love the vocals. I'm like, geez, this is like a harder, aggressive, early Metallica, Ride the Lightning, Kill 'Em All, but more aggressive. And seeing them, I was like, this is the ultimate. This is like Mad Max times 50 to me, but in like a satanic black leather cult sort of thing. Another brilliant 3-piece band, Destruction. My God. Me and my brother, when they did their All Hell Breaks Loose comeback in 2000, when they signed with Nuclear Blast, they came over to America to do that tour. My brother and I got to be roadies for Destruction for 7 days. My brother drove the equipment truck, and I drove Destruction around in the van. I think I told this story before. If some of you's heard it, I'm sorry to repeat, but if some of you didn't, it's just a little cool thing. On a day before we went on the tour. They were still hanging around. Went out to dinner with them and everything. I showed them because we were by my house on Pratt Street, and they were with me. Schmier and Mike were with me, and Sven, the drummer at the time, his name was Sven. And I showed Mike and Schmier a collection of soundboard tapes I had of early shows that they did, and that stuff with Sodom in it, and Whiplash and all that I had, and I showed them the soundboard tapes I had of them, and they're like, "Oh, cool." And they were telling me about the shows. They didn't get mad. I was like, "Man, they might get mad, but they might not." But they were very cool about it, and they were just telling me a little bit about each one of those shows. And I still have those cassette tapes. Thank God. I hope they didn't get destroyed moving. But Megan, I need to come up to your house and convert all these tapes, my dear. One of these days, when I get settled, I'm working and the kids are in school. Pretty soon, my dear friend, I'm going to commandeer you and bring up tapes and transfer cassette tapes. And of course, I'll pay you for it because it's important to keep this music alive. But anyway, Destruction was always an influence. The songwriting alone, I always asked Mike, what was the thing that motivated him to get that sound? And he always said Michael Schenker and UFO and early Scorpions, and that was his thing. And Schmier said it was Metallica's Kill 'Em All. But when you put it Destruction the way they did, they said they wanted to do it harder and aggressive. They had that they have a little bit of that venom end to it, and you get Destruction. Well, I tend to think one of the greatest thrash metal albums was Destruction's Infernal Overkill. And I got to hear Bastille Invasion off of Speed Kill. When I got to hear the full album finally, just song after song, there's not a bad song on Infernal Overkill, in my opinion. One of my favorite songs I thought was a really cool song. It had this intricacy to it, but it always had a hook and it caught you. And Mike's leads, I thought, were really top notch on this song. So I picked this one tonight. So I want to celebrate Destruction's Infernal Overkill album. This song I picked, I think it's one of the best on the album. Me personally, Death Trap. I think that Infernal Overkill album is undeniably a tapestry of German thrash metal brilliance. Destruction alone, just Schmear's voice, the raspy, harsh, growling, guttural snarl that he gets. And so many of the German thrash metal bands really have sort of that sound in a sense. I think maybe, I would say maybe Tom Angel Ripper is a lot more Lemmy-like and Kronos-like, but most of the bands really have that raw, guttural raspiness to it. You know, it's great. Mike's guitar is work. He's one of the most brilliant thrash metal guitarists, in my opinion. I think Mike is one of the best when it comes to that style. And that album is a testament to that tenacity of thrash metal brilliance being portrayed song after song. Not a bad song on an album. Definitely a thrash metal classic, European German style. Salutes to Destruction, because they help shape and change things as well. That album, definitely love that song. I love Mike's lead work, Electric Fire. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm stepping into a spot now where showing a little bit more rock and roll love and appreciation, and hopefully we can go through this and it's okay. My family's like a rock and roll family, and they're into a lot of bluegrass and R&B and Motown stuff as well, but generally a rock and roll family. And that's what we come from. The Gambe family, me, my brothers, my sisters, starting out, like I said before, with Kiss, and then going into AC/DC, and just going through Led Zeppelin and everybody else, Van Halen, Rush, etc. I miss how rock music used to be. I really do. I even kind of miss, in a way, bands like the Missing Persons and such like that, because there's something about when time goes on and technology just speeds up, and we lose a lot of ground of kind of what made things the way they are, some of the tenacity of the time period. I'm the kind of person that I always take time to celebrate all of it, because it's music, artwork, books. It's just something that it's a history of that person, of that self, and your time period, where you're at in your life, what's going on in your mind, your family, your friends, what's in your heart sometimes, loss of things, the gain of things, the excitement. For myself, nothing tells the story better than music. Heavy metal is my number one thing, number one thing, but always have love and adoration for rock. And one of my favorite, of course, as people know me over time, not only Suzi Quatro, but Joan Jett. Without Suzi Quatro, there wouldn't be a Joan Jett. And I remember very early on thinking Joan Jett was Pat Benatar in the very beginning, early on in the year. I used to mix them up because they had the short, dark hair, the dark eyeliner, and it was a look that I loved. Joan Jett, when she was solo, because I didn't know the Runaways until, much later, because they didn't get, at least in Philly where I was, there was nothing about the Runaways going on, nothing. Until years later, until Joan took off on her career, that you hear about that, and then Lita shows up in the metal scene. But I always thought Joan, besides Suzi Quatro being on Happy Days, because I didn't know Suzi Quatro had a career before Happy Days. I don't know that. I'm a little kid. I see her on Happy Days. I'm like, whoa, who's that? She's like a female Elvis. I like her. She's cool. But then when Joan came out, not knowing the history like it is today, just being a kid, seeing Joan, it's like, whoa, she's all in leather and jeans and sneakers. It's like one of the rock and roll girls from my neighborhood. She was so relatable to us boys. Like, that's the kind of girl, you want to hang out. Not just you want to hang out, but you want to have that first date with a girl like that, because it was exciting, because she was a rock and roller. And this is early, this is early stages, 1980. So all the years later, finally knowing the history and then seeing the Runaways and hearing all that, knowing that history, all these years later, the curse of our technology is we get to revisit so many things that we didn't get to experience, but yet you could still remember what maybe brought you to those places. Joan Jett brought me back to the Runaways. So did Lita Ford, mostly Joan. She's one of my favorite women in rock and roll, and she had her hand in punk rock music. Most people know that. She produced the Germs album. She had her hands, not her hands, but her feet and her heart and her head in the punk rock scene very heavily. And Sandy West and Lita Ford were like just like Deep Purple, Black Sabbath, sort of Judas Priest going towards edge of things. So it was a really neat time period in 1977 when Sherry Curry was not in the band anymore and Jackie Fox left, and then they got Trisha Blue, Vicky Blue, to play bass, and then it became a four-piece, and they put out their album Waiting for the Night. And that album, when I got to hear that, I thought, wow, this is if they could have stayed, I believe, because I'm a fan of them, but from what I hear, I believe if they could have stayed like that in that album Waiting for the Night, they would have been an American powerhouse hard rock band, because they could have been, because they were before Girls' School. Technically, they were before Girls' School, but they fell apart faster because they were so much younger, and the industry was never kind to them, and they were so, mistreated, and they didn't know they were kids. They were teenagers, but boy, did they create some of the most coolest fucking rock and roll music for girls that still represents great tenacity and great attitude at a street level understanding. Rebellious nature of the teenage girls side of things. The Runaways, I think, were the best example of that in music. So I'm celebrating an episode tonight from 1977. This is them doing Wasted and School Days live on Old Grey Whistle Test. So hopefully this runs through fine. This is in dedication to Joan Jett and Lita, Sandy West, which was the heartbeat of the Runaways, and Vicky Blue. Let it rip, Carl. Enjoy this, people.
Hello again, welcome along to the program. And tonight we've a preview of the new album from the other side of 10cc. Lol Cream and Kevin Godley are here in the studio with us, and we'll be talking about their new LP Consequences a bit later on. With music from Randy Newman, a tribute to the fine work of Leonard Skinner, and our studio sessions tonight are from Gordon Giltrap. He'll be with us later on too, and from the Runaways, currently touring the UK with this new LP. It's called Waiting for the Night, and the first number is called Wasted.
Well, that was love and dedication to the Runaways. I always love to show appreciation for the rock and roll side and for the women too. So Joan just got hurt recently. Yeah, I've seen that too. I think Rotten Punks. I think that you were mentioning that. But yeah, there was she just got recently hurt, so that was a shame. So I just wanted to celebrate and dedicate some love to the Runaways and what they contributed for women in rock music. Now, this next one, this is really more off the beaten track of what normally goes on this channel. But this guy here is one of my greatest guitar heroes that ever came out and surfaced. He's known a lot for his country, his bluegrass, even his harder edge sort of garage rock scene, if you will. He's one of the songs that innovated a sound that actually got banned on the radio for his song Rumble. He's admired by Pete Townsend and Jimmy Page, just for example, and even played with Iggy Pop, I believe, at sometimes too. Born and raised, I believe, in North Carolina and in Virginia. And he passed away at his home in Copenhagen, Denmark. And he was Elvis Presley's buddy. It was his friend. And I could see why. They had a lot in common. But this guy, Link Ray, he always, I think his name was Fred Lincoln Ray was his full name. He always had riffs. And in interviews, I've seen him so many times talk about how he just loved to play guitar. He just loved to make sound. He loved to do riffs. He liked to just jam. He never really aimed at a goal. He just picked that guitar up and it just went with the sound, and boom, he created great instrumental songs, just guitar-driven songs. I love him. He's one of my favorite guitar people, and I don't think he gets enough credit. So I'm going to show him a little dedication here. I know this is different from our heavy metal, punk, and rock and roll, but Link Ray definitely changed music just like the Sex Pistols did when he did Rumble. So punk rockers actually were influenced by his sound. So I want to show some dedication to Link Ray. I chose this song. This is a really, really cool one. And I believe this is fished from a 1958 or early 1960s sessions. He had all these songs he did, and they got put on various 45s or collections. So this song here, I think, is a really cool, get up and go, hard striking, guitar riffing song. This is called White Lightning. I just wanted to spread some love for Link Ray. Damn, he's cool, man. His songs really they do give me positive energy. All the songs, Switchblade's another great one. Jack the Ripper, that's an awesome song. Of course, everybody knows Rumble. Rawhide's a good one. And of course, this White Lightning. And he's got a plethora of great songs, man. I like to jam to him. And he has that rockabilly sound, but that garage rock, all of it. He really encompasses so much of it early on. You're talking 1950s, late 1950s. I mean, I love that stuff, man. And it is, if you listen to that, it has that punkish, energy and attitude towards his playing. I love that stuff, man. So just a little love and appreciation for Link Ray, one of my guitar heroes. Last song of the night, ladies and gentlemen, and I want to tell you, it's been an honor and a privilege, as always with me, once again, how wonderful it feels to do these shows and sit here with all of you, my friends, my online friends, comrades, long-term friends for decades. Thank you for your friendship and being here and letting me celebrate music with you and enjoy a night of this, a high energy and raw power in heavy metal and in rock. So thank you once again. I don't have enough words to express my gratitude and the support you always give me for these shows and everything I've done before. And I look forward to doing another one whenever the boss says I can come back. I'll be back. Some plans I have now that I'm back here. I'm going to be getting together with Jim Rowe as soon as I establish work again and the girls are in school. I'm going to finish up an unfinished section of Den of Sin songs. There's like 4 of them that I want to finish up. And Lily the Bullet is again going to do the vocals for it. She's on board. So I'm hoping to maybe, if it's possible, aim for getting a Den of Sin full-length album out. I don't know when, just out. And I'm still going to be creating new Bloodstorm songs. I have 2 already. So that's in my plans. And I wanted to dedicate this song to all of you, specifically all of you that stayed here all night and sat here with me and enjoyed this music and let me be a part of your lives for these past, 2 and some odd minute hours of music. One of my beloved heroes that I don't have enough words in the universe to express the power and influence of Lemmy and the wonderful things that he's done in music all throughout his career. One of the special times that I thought was interesting and at times fun, sad that Eddie Clark left because of it, but his involvement with Wendy O. Williams. It was an interesting time period, I think, for, not just Wendy O. Williams, but because she wasn't in Plasmatic, she's doing her own Wendy, her wow band, Wendy O. Williams. But, Lemmy appearing on stage with her, I thought was such a cool thing. So I want to end this night with one of my favorite Motorhead songs off of Ace of Spades. It is Wendy O. Williams featuring Lemmy and Wurzel, Mick Wurzel Bernson, from 1985, live in London, doing one of my favorite songs in Motorhead, Jailbait. Good night, everybody, and thank you.
There's
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Carl. Oh, I can't hear you. Can you hear me?
I had to unmute my mic because I've been
there you
behind the
go.
scenes back here. Yeah, here I am. I'm good now.
Well, thank you again. It's a privilege to work on your show and celebrate music with you. Thanks.
No, that was a good show, dude. Nice.
Oh, thank you.
As usual, it was a nice mix of everything, and it somehow it all flows together and works. So, good job.
Tried.
Yeah, good job, man.
Thank you.
Good job. I like
Thanks.
that. And poser alert. I really didn't know the Link guy that well, so I'm gonna check that out some more. Yeah.
Oh, I think he's great, Carl. If you like that style of music, see, my dad liked that stuff.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
And he didn't have him, but I kind of got bridged to him through the stuff my father liked. I found them. And
that's always good. Yep.
Right. And when he did Rumble, that blam, 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 doon, 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 that's him.
Yeah,
and that song got banned on the radio because it was said that when that song was played on the radio, fights would start. And I always thought that was great.
Yeah.
Think of it, that's the 1950s now, late 1950s, early 60s. And that got banned from the radio. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what rock and roll is, right?
Exactly.
That's what rock and roll should do. It should get banned.
Like Lemmy always said, it's supposed to piss everybody off. It's supposed to go against everything that's supposed to be pro-establishment. It's supposed to be rebellious, non-apologetic, just ruthless, aggressive, high-energy, fun, and just let it go, let loose. And that's it. And punk rock did that, So that's that's the whole point of it. And all those things made such a very instrumental sound and movement that led towards heavy metal in its sense. I mean, Link Ray influenced Pete Townsend, Jimmy Page, Neil Young. If you're into Neil Young, I mean, a lot of people. But it's all. What I'm saying is, I think it's all part of it. And the older people like you and I get, we see it more and more. And one thing I always thought was cool is being around young kids. Like I said about Tanker, and that's a true story. When those things happen, it's really cool to know that young people can pick up similar things that people like you and I picked up.
Yeah.
And it's refreshing to me. And I like that a lot. I really do. I think it says a lot about our music and what we do. And it has a place. And when young people pick it up still, it's just great to know that we are in that field and we keep it going. We're not reinventing the wheel. We're just, adding new treads on it, and that's about the best we're
That's a
doing.
cool way of saying it. Yeah, new treads on the wheel. Yeah, because I think a lot of times too, record industry or other music industry wants to make like old music sound like it's irrelevant or something to the younger kids, and you got because they want to sell new records. But
Right.
the one problem with that is some music is just timeless. No matter when it's going to hit people the same way if they actually get a chance to hear it.
That's how I looked at it.
Yeah.
What would be the band that I don't know if I know this from you yet, but what's the band that started you off to say, man, I really get this and I have to do it. I have to do this.
I don't know. Okay, I don't know if I can nail it down to one band, but I can certain
Maybe
situations.
just at least one. It's hard to say one because I'm the same way,
Yeah.
Carl. But one that you can think on the top of your head that went, whoa,
When
man.
I mean, obviously, when I was a little kid,
Yeah,
I only could,
that's what I'm talking about.
yeah, I could only, access what was available to me and what I could see. So it was Kiss. That
Yep.
was the first band that hit me when I was a little kid. It was Kiss. I mean, you could watch Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park on TV back then,
Yeah. Yeah.
But that whole aesthetic hit me, and I was like, that's so fucking cool. They look so
Yeah.
fucking cool. And then, I heard the music, and I was like, the music's fucking cool. And
It
then probably, 3 or 5 years somewhere after that, my brother had an older group of friends, and those dudes were hip to it. My brother, not so much, sorry, but he was cool enough. But his friends knew all the good hard rock and heavy metal. And they would say, no, you got to hear Black Sabbath. And they say, listen to Black Sabbath, listen to Riot, listen to Judas Priest, Saxon, and all these things they were throwing at me. And,
Yeah.
Iron Maiden, and literally Ozzy came out around the same time that I was discovering Black Sabbath through those people as well. So, I was like, whoa, I heard the new fucking Ozzy album. Well, at the time it was the new one, but his debut was a solo band, and that was like,
81.
it was complete, yeah, and it was completely different than any other type of metal that was around back then. I always thought Blizzard of Oz was, an American metal album, even though Ozzy's English, but everyone in the band involved is American, and they brought their sound, and they got Ozzy's backing basically, which it worked and blended so well that
It did.
and it started an American metal scene in my book, like really sparked up, and you really saw a lot of other bands starting to, that popped up after that one.
And there was this family who lived up the street from me on my old Westmoreland Street house. This girl Diane Hawthorne, she was one of my best friends growing up. Well, her older sister Kim had Blizzard of Oz on record,
Uh-huh.
and I had a crush on her, a secret little crush on her older sister Kim. Light blue eyes, dark curly, hair.
The cool older sister that's always hot.
Denim shorts, always riding her 10 feet up and down the street, like whoa. Long legs. But she was into Ozzy. She was into Blizzard of Oz and Judas Priest, and I was like, oh man, the older girls like this stuff too. This is great. I mean, I already liked it, but when you see the older girls like it, ooh man, all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was cool. I do think that sucks now that there's heavy metal isn't like a cool mainstream thing that it was like when we were younger. Even though it seems like it might be bigger, but it was definitely, I don't know how to word it, Chris, but you know what I mean? There
Yes.
were more, metal just wasn't a guy thing. There was like, girls into it, the mainstream stuff. I'm not saying, the underground Slayer concerts of the early days, but, you went to like a Motley Crue or an Iron Maiden concert. There was all type of people there.
Right, it did. It was communal.
Yeah.
Because I think that the most thing that I can think of is it was that rebellious party freedom. It was an energetic sound, and it had an energetic look, and it really was new to us, and it attracted. It was a great attraction. All the rock stuff was going out because those guys were either burnt out. I mean,
Yeah.
and they just couldn't do it no more, and a lot of things changed for them. And when that came out, it was just an only thing. It just did, and I always said punk was a step ladder, and Motorhead was the one band that kept rock linked to a hard edge, but it
I can
was
see that.
accepted by punks. And when you put the two together, it did something. It created a strong foothold on music to say, oh, you can stand on this is great, and they just built on it. And that's the way I see it. Because, Iron Maiden did it, Judas Priest did it too. But I always thought Motorhead kept it more street level.
They were definitely more raw, more in your face about it than Judas Priest or Iron Maiden. More the first Iron Maiden's pretty raw and pretty.
It is.
Punky.
It's great.
Yeah, and I love that album. But Motorhead actually had a connection with punk rock too.
It did. It had a hard. It was hardened, and it didn't. It sounded so much more like it was recorded in a house basement at the time period. You have to think everything was heavy production. It was, the industry backed up their bands. It was different. It's like the record industry had money and legitimate business to throw weight behind certain things, and I think a lot of those people just would throw things out there, and whatever would stick, they would see what would stick.
And they had the money to do that. So
yeah, and I think a lot of the movies were the same way.
Yeah.
So
the risk reward factor was worth it, because if something, when they took off, the money was obviously going to be there, and it was going to do really well.
Right. It created a whole other development and stage of seeing and even thinking about how playing instruments and songwriting and how to express things. It did all those things by the time 1980s came out. It definitely did. It gave all those new things. And like I said, that Scream Bloody Gore, just to go off the top of my head, Celtic Frost to Megatheron, it was just, they were innovative right at their prime doing that. And it was like at the right time. You had the right people involved. You had the right social demographic going, and most of at least where I was. Yeah. So, and I think in a lot of major cities, when there were shows happening in clubs where there's more going on when you're young, that is going to be easier to pick up and identify with than it would be going to a skating ring and just skating in circles, listening to Cyndi Lauper or Madonna. For guys, for street level guys, that's what we had. It meant something to us because bands like Kiss, AC/DC, Led Zeppelin, The Who, Rush were street level rock bands. They were denim bands. They were grit and grind bands. They were working class bands, and the punk and heavy metal was a great extension that came right along our time to where we were high school students. Now we were in 7th and 8th grade. Getting that, I can't wait to get out of school. Things were tougher. There was more expected of us. So music was a great buffer to go against, at least for me, because I went to Catholic school. So that music was a great buffer against that.
Oh, I can imagine it.
Yeah, and I got into Dungeons and Dragons. I got into artwork. So fantasy, adventure, and movie, that whole world kept me alive and thinking in a place where I couldn't be corrupted. And it was going to be mine no matter what. And it helped me. It's weird when I think about it, like Dungeons and Dragons, like playing this, because it wasn't a game board, it was a book. You had to use your imagination with other people. And you had to think about, you had to explain to people, you had to make people see the way that you were thinking it. You had to be able to explain it to them, and hopefully they would get the picture you were saying into words. And they would understand the world you were creating, and their character can live in that world. Well, that's how I saw heavy metal music. It made sense to me because it told the story. That's why bands like Voivod and Celtic Frost meant so much, because they were like storytelling bands within itself. Yeah. So it did. That's what it did. And then visually, it resonated too because they looked the part.
Yeah, they had the whole package, the whole aesthetics down. I mean, the look matched the sound of the record, the album, art, everything just came together. I kind of miss that with some bands, like I guess that's why I like black metal so much, because it seems like a lot of black metal put that into it. Even though I know there's a lot of poser ass black metal
Right.
out there too, but the ones who really tried to do that to me reminds me of the '80s approach. Like the full package. I can't. I'm sorry, I can't get into bands no matter how good they are when I go see them live and they look like they're janitors. It's just not for me.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, they don't really try, and I get it. A lot of them maybe come from, I don't know, hardcore and all that, modern hardcore, where there's no image, and you just show up in your shorts and your ball cap, and that's just not for me. I like the whole fucking thing. Like you got to be all in. You can't be halfway in. There's just too many other bands I'm going to listen to that are all the way in. I'm not going to give someone who are like,
we come from that. We got to see it. We were just lucky enough. We got to see it right when it happened, and so many of them, so many bands. I think the way I looked at it, the way I can remember it, so many bands, they knew they had to bring that to the stage. What they bought on the album, you couldn't sacrifice that, or it would take away that luster that the teenagers had to want to
disappoint people if you showed up in your street clothes on stage. If you're like a Celtic Frost or a band
right.
like,
unless you were like GBH or an Exploited or a DRI, it's different. But that energy was still the same.
Well, that's a different world.
The attitude was there. The energy was there.
Dude, if you put long hair on GBH and any of them old pictures, they look like a heavy metal band. I mean, all the leather and spikes and all that. I mean, the only thing is different is haircuts. They got Liberty spikes and mohawks, but the clothing is pretty much the same. Like what? It's funny. But
it is. As time goes on, that's when I think, maybe in the media sense with magazines, when magazines were still trying to be relevant, like Metal Maniacs, Pit, when it got to the 90s and they were trying to be more relevant. I say it all the time, but I do believe this. I think it got desperate. I think people were losing money, the people that own it, and they were trying to find new and fresh people. And what they got these like yuppie people that wanted to be goth for a weekend or heavy metal for a weekend.
Tourists.
And and they needed college credits, and they gave them a job at their record label or their magazine, and they didn't know what they were writing about, but they got the job. And then their friends that they go to school with, or that they had the coffee house job or buying the magazine. Look at what I wrote about this band, and they don't know nothing about them. Because I've heard an awful lot of that in the New York
totally
and Philadelphia area. Yeah, so it ruined a lot of things.
You can see a lot of change that happened, like in the '90s and all that, where
it was disheartening. It took away the drive and the luster and the interest in it. You got poor, pathetic, unknowledgeable people trying to write about music that they didn't even have a background in.
Passion for.
Now they're dictating our albums, our scene, our shows, all of it. And I blame majority of the scene for being desperate to let themselves be sold to that, because that dictated how the rest. And look at what happened now. There's so much stupid nonsense. It's hard to go through it because there's so much plastic, just unqualified people. You have to know your tools if you're going to be in the trade. These people didn't have a fucking tool belt into the trade of our music. They just didn't. I see so many people that, remember when my ex worked at Nuclear Blast and all them? The people that worked in that Philly office, they were terrible. They were absolutely nauseating. They didn't know. They really didn't know what they were doing. It's like, wow, and they're dictating the American market. It was atrocious, and it's one of the biggest reasons. I'm like, I don't care if I get signed. I don't want to be a part of it. But I wasn't a part of the quote-unquote strict black metal scene. But what I will say on the early stages of black metal, I have to say this. Well, this is how I see it. I might get people going, oh, that's bullshit. No, that's wrong. You're fake. But I saw the early 90s black metal scene as what the punk rockers were in the mid and late 1970s. Okay,
that
different fields, but they run in the same direction of a base attitude. They don't want nothing to do with the popular scene, the death metal scene, and I understand why they would. I do.
Yeah.
I understand why they didn't, and I get it. And I love most of those bands. I loved them in the early stages. But the truth be told, when I met them when they came to the United States to a Milwaukee Metal Fest, and I got to meet a bunch of them, I was like, "You fucking backwards, fake dog shit eating motherfuckers." I mean, you just shit on your own so in true status. You hate America, but you love the fucking money in your pocket at the end of the night when those people were buying your shirts and coming to the show. All of a sudden, America's great now because capitalism works, motherfucker. That's the truth.
There
You may
go.
not want to believe it, but the American dollar fucking works, motherfuckers, and that's the truth of it.
And
Because if they believed that America was so
Almighty.
horrible, you wouldn't have fucking been at those Milwaukee Metal Fest. You wouldn't play them. You wouldn't be worried about doing tours in America because America's so bad and we're so unworthy and all that other stupid dog shit. But you'll come over here. You want to date the girls. You want to go to the coffee houses. You want to play all the clubs. You want to see the neighborhoods. You want to do all this fancy shit. But you
want
hate
those
America.
paychecks. You want those
Pick
big
one.
paychecks. Yep.
Pick one, you plastic army man motherfucker. Pick one and stick with it.
Yeah.
Don't come at me swinging a plastic fucking knife when I got a baseball bat with nails in it. You'll lose.
Plastic knife. That's funny. No, but I know what you mean
Just
because
saying.
they and I think we all kind of like, if you don't know who we're talking about, well, that's too bad. But yeah, where do they go when they want to get those big tours where they can make a lot of money and get those guarantees? They come to America.
You know what, Carl? I have no problem with it. But don't act like all holier than thou and they hate everybody American, everything American. But you come over here and you want that dollar.
Man.
Suck a fucking bag of dog shit dicks because you're a lying son of a bitch.
First of all,
Lying son of a bitch.
they wouldn't know shit if Possessed,
That's
Necrovore,
right.
Morbid Angel, and all the American bands kind of showed them the way. Because guess what? They weren't just listening to Bathory.
No, they were not.
So anyway,
Death,
believes that.
Necrovore, Death,
I just
Dark
listened to
Angel.
Bathory since 1984, and then all of a sudden, that's a bunch of bullshit.
It is. It
Slayer.
is.
Yeah. We kind of, we birthed this thing, a big part of it, America. So
Well, we I think so. I think it is. Okay. I always said it, and it's true. Europe had the richest and most predominant when it came to bands in the 1980s. It did. It's just because I think, and I wasn't over there, but from what I gathered all through the years, they were just open to so much more musically, and there was so much more available than it was here. We're a big country, and there's a
Yeah.
lot going on here. And, it's just what it is.
their landscapes aren't as separated as ours, the
Right.
cities, and there's
Right.
a lot of separation between, New York and LA and,
But it
San
does
Antonio.
create Right, but it does create a social demographic among teenage thinking from that era. It does. And then as the time goes on, like anything else, the years start to bridge the gap and then it makes sense to everybody. It's like, yeah, we're all one and the same. We celebrate this and it's kept alive. I have no problem with it. Everybody starts somewhere. They do. Everybody starts somewhere. And I say all the time, there's always something to be learned. And that's what I like about young people. I still learn off the little ones. I still learn out of their little eyes and ears what they might get that I might have missed. Or maybe I've forgotten it because I'm 55 now.
Yeah,
it's
things
just, yeah.
happen. Yeah.
Right. And people like us, we just had more experience. It just happens. It is human nature. The longer we go, the more we're going to have under our belt for experience. Okay, so things may change or may take on a new life, but the roots are still the same. That stuff never changed in me or in us. So, but the fruits can still be picked from our trees of knowledge. That's it, man.
Yeah.
And I love that. And these kids are going to have it too.
That's why
And that's why I love it. Music's a great celebration of it.
This is your show to me is like this an education and metal and rock, and and sometimes some other things that you didn't even know. So I appreciate you coming on the channel, Chris.
Of course.
I know we can go on all day with these type of
Yes, I
conversations.
can.
But we are almost at 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something, and this is not part of Chris's show. This is something for my friend Paulie Kai. He just put out his new album, and it's available on Bandcamp. And I want to play one of his new songs on the way out from his new album. Yeah. And
Best wishes to you.
Yeah.
We're all in this together, gang. We are all in this together. Everything from Blink Ray all the way up to, Necrovore.
He's a good guy. He has to do the band himself, and I think he does a great job. And he's a pretty damn good riff writer.
Best wishes to you, man.
So I don't know if you're still here, Paul, because you might have gone to bed, but we're gonna give you a little play out here. So let me get this queued up, and we'll play some new Kai. This is available on right here, man. Kai. Go to his Bandcamp if you like it and order it. And we're out of here. We'll see you next time.
Thank you all. Thank you.
The